All right, good morning. We're going to do a leg, hip, spine, shoulder, upper back, lower back, full body movement piece for you today. The first thing that Jenna and I want to show you is the anterior and posterior tilt of the pelvis. That's going to be the most fundamental thing or component to take into mind and get down for this video so that you don't have to be looking up a lot. Okay, so if you find your hip bones with your hands, all right, first, we're going to go into what's called a posterior tilt. Okay, so a posterior tilt is you're bringing your pubic bone toward your chest, all right, and dropping your tail between your legs. You want to feel like your low back is kind of flattening, dropping to the floor, and or decompressing. Okay, it almost might feel like a stretch of the low back. Okay, now if you tilt your pelvis forward so that your pubic bone drops toward the floor, away from your chest, all right, you're going to go into an anterior tilt, and you'll notice there's kind of a strong concave curve in your low back. Yeah, exactly where Jen is showing it. Okay, this might feel like, for some people, it might feel more stressful. Sometimes people will say, quote, and this hurts, and that's basically because we're getting the paraspinal muscles to engage, to pull the spine into lumbar extension. So I would say it's less of a pain issue and more of just getting used to strengthening this area. So again, you'll go into a posterior tilt, all right? This might feel more like a stretch, okay? And then you'll go into an anterior tilt. And I want you to do this to warm up, anywhere from, 4 to 8 reps, just to kind of solidify in your brain, okay, this is a posterior, this is an anterior. You can also do it laying down. Sometimes if you can't feel it standing up, you have to lay down with feet flat, knees bent in order to feel it. And then another way to do it is to go against the wall, and that should be all right. Okay, so you're going to start standing today, okay, with your feet underneath your hips, and then all we want you to do is to start is like find your hip bones again, and I just want you to practice shifting to the right and then shifting to the left. Okay, so you're specifically looking for a pelvic shift. When you shift your hips to the left, does the weight go into your left foot? And when you shift your hips to the right, does the weight go into the right foot? All right, and again, this is just like warming up the anterior, posterior tilts of the pelvis. We're just getting your brain to understand shifting weight, which is something that happens every time you take a step in the world or you reach for something in your day-to-day life. And all right, so we'll come in the middle, and then you're going to start by shifting your hips to the left, and I want you to step your right leg back. Okay, so your right leg is going not too far back. This is not a yoga, Pilates, flexible lunge we're looking for, and it's not a short lunge. We're basically just looking for like the Goldilocks distance, the just right distance, okay? Now you want to feel your heel press back, but not onto the ground, all right? And then find your sternum and lean about 15 degrees forward just to take some of the stress out of your abs. Good, maybe a little less. Okay, and then from here, all I want you to do, you're going to reach your right arm up to the ceiling and your left arm out to a T. Okay, and then it's a really simple action from here. You're going to start to side bend to the left as you shift your hips right. That's it. And then you come back to center, and we're going to do that about 6 times. At home, you can do this a couple more. Things to think about is you want to be feeling a stretch at the front of your right hip, okay? So Jenna, you want to just put your hand on the front of your right hip. Okay, so you want to feel like a lengthening or an opening is happening here. One way you can do that is if you add a posterior tilt to the pelvis, so your tail is scooping under, pubic bone is pulling up. That's going to help to institute a little bit more of an opening of that hip, or creating more of what we call hip extension. So you'll do one more side bend and shift. All right, then you come to the middle. Okay, your hands come to your sternum. Next, you're going to focus on rotating your pelvis, sternum, and head to the right, away from your lead leg. Okay, so you want to feel like you're rotating out of the left inner groin. Okay, you notice her back heel stays up. Okay, and after you are able to do it like this, I want you to add the arms. So your left arm reaches where your heart faces, and your right arm reaches 90 degrees behind you. All right, so it goes pelvis, rib cage, head. All right, And another way to think about it is the arms are kind of initiating the motion. So even right now, if you start to rotate, begin with the arms, they're going to take you into an end range, just like that. Okay, one more thing to consider is that lead arm. So Jenna's left arm, she's going to reach it really far and move that shoulder blade away from her spine. So you want to feel like this lengthening process is happening on your upper back between your shoulder blade and your spine. Let's do one more. All right, then you're going to come to the middle. Okay, I want your back heel to go down, and then you're going to flex your front ankle up. Okay, great. And right now, front knee is straight, back knee has a bit of a bend to it. You're going to add a posterior tilt to that pelvis, so tailbone is under again. All right, and then all you're going to do is you're allowed to bend your right knee as much as you want. I want you to reach your hands forward and your hips back and to the left. Reach, 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 reach. And then you're going to come up with control and arms go up to the ceiling. You want to imagine trying to suspend your rib cage away from your pelvis. Okay, let's do that again. So you're going to reach, butt goes back, hands go forward. Keep going if you can, forward. All right, and then you're going to control yourself up. You're going to reach your hands to the ceiling. Fantastic. Check in with that pelvis. Make sure you have a posterior tilt of it. Then something else that can help with this movement that I like to teach is if you exhale on the reach and then you inhale when you're getting tall. However, I will say that as long as you're breathing for every repetition, you can do whatever you want, whatever works for you. Let's do one more. Okay, focus on making a long distance between the hands and the hips. All right. And then when you reach up, a long distance between the wrists and the ankles. Okay, getting that rib cage to lift away from your pelvis. All right, fantastic. So hands come to the sternum, front foot's going to come down, back heel lifts up. Okay, now this next one, you're going to take T-Rex arms. Okay, so elbows are at 90 degrees next to the rib cage. Okay, then all I want you to do is you're going to start to send your hips back, bend into your back knee, and go toward a deep lunge. Okay, so Jen is actually pulling her feet toward each other, and then she's going to pause there. Okay, now depending on what your spine's like, what your hips, your knee is like, you're either going to be able to go deeper or not that deep. Okay, so Jenna has good flexibility, so she can go pretty deep. All right, come up about halfway. But if you're here, or come up even higher, or even if you're here, that's fine. I want you to try and feel it in your left butt cheek. All right, let's go a little bit deeper. You keep holding. She's pulling her feet toward each other, so you can't see that on camera, but you want to feel like you're, yeah, exactly, dragging the floor to underneath your base. And then you're going to put both hands on your front foot. Okay, if this is hard for you, use a block nearby and put both hands on blocks. All right, and then all you're going to do is just straighten both legs, drop your head. Okay, try to take about 4 breaths. Keep turning your hips into your front leg. So it would mean left for Jenna here. That's beautiful. All right, if you want the challenge, reach your left arm out to a T and see if you can turn that sternum like 15 degrees to the left. Good. Keep holding. And Jenna, can you turn your head right? There we go. So we're still trying to encourage counter rotation or oppositional rotation between the thoracic cage and the skull and pelvis. All right, hand comes down. So Jenna's going to make sure her back heel comes up, bend into your front knee. All right, you're going to pull yourself up to a deep lunge with those T-Rex arms. All right, you pause, start to stand up, straighten your back leg. Okay, reach your right arm forward, left arm backward, back heel is off the floor. And then all you're going to do is just try to reach about 6 to 12 inches further. Okay, and then you come back. So you're just rocking forward and backward. Your anchor point is your back heel. Okay, anchor point is the back heel. All right, so you want to feel like you're trying to create distance between your right heel and your right wrist. All right, and if you add a little bit of that thoracic rotation, so your heart is turning left, that doesn't hurt either. All right, and then T-Rex arms, so 90-degree double row arms. Jenna's going to step up. Okay, keeping a nice anterior tilt, okay, so that good concave curve on the low back. She's going to do 4 hip hinges. So just hinging at the hips. All right, so that's 1. Nice. All right, and same thing, you can either be dragging your feet toward each other or pushing them away from each other, but trying to create ground force tension. Okay, so you're trying to create tension from the floor up. And hold on. I'm going to do a little sideways shot, this next part. All right, and then just pause here. Okay, so we're going to do the other side, plank. Start by finding your chest. Okay, you're going to shift your hips to the right and step your left leg back. Okay, so first objective here is to create hip extension on the left side. So you're going to go into a posterior tilt of the pelvis, keeping your left knee really, really straight though. Okay, and then lean your spine forward just a little bit. Reach your left arm up, right arm out to a T. Okay, and then just start to side bend to your right, shifting your hips to the left. And that's 1. Okay, so again, you might be trying to open up or feel like a lengthening at the front of the left hip, but also right here. Okay, so right in this area between the 12th rib and the top of the hip crest. That's where we're going for an opening. Good. And see if you can keep your right arm up as you side bend. There we go. Okay, keeping that tail scooped under. Let's do 1 more. All right. Then we pause in the middle, both hands to your sternum. Now we're going to work on left rotation. So pelvis, rib cage, head is going to rotate to the left. Okay. And she's rotating out of the inner right thigh. So the inner right groin is actually helping to initiate and facilitate the rotation or the spiral of the body upstream. Okay, you still notice her back heel's off the ground. When you're ready, add the arms. So right arm reaches to the wall, left arm 90 degrees back. Okay, we'll do this about 4 to 6 times. Then something else you can think about, just to create another tension point, is as she's rotating and reaching, okay, this knee is pushing to the right. Okay, so again, we're trying to create more distance between this right knee and all the way around to her left elbow. Okay, so it's a lengthening process of the obliques, which is one of the primary rotators of the thoracic area, thoracic spine and rib cage. Let's do 1 more. All right, we come to the center, hands are on the sternum. You're going to let the back heel go down. You're going to flex the front ankle up. Okay, you're still keeping a posterior tilt of the pelvis. All right, and then you're just going to reach those hands forward as the hips go back. Your left knee is allowed to bend as much as possible. Okay, and then you come up, both hands reach overhead. Good. We do this a few times. Being sure to exhale and inhale. Okay, feeling the full circle of breath. Okay, and you're trying to shift the pelvis back into the right, so toward the front legs posterior part, front legs back pocket. Basically, you want to be stressing the right hamstring here. Okay, so we'll do 2 more. Being sure to keep the pubic bone pinching up toward the belt buckle. Good. You reach the hands, reach, reach, reach. Enjoy the lengthening process of your spine, and then you come up and you try to drive those ribs, lift those ribs away from the pelvis. All right, fantastic. Front foot comes down, back heel lifts up, hands are to the sternum. Okay, you find a double row position or T-Rex arms. Okay. Gemma's going to drag her feet toward one another again, start to send her hips back, and she's going toward a deep lunge, okay? Now remember, your lunge doesn't have to look exactly like hers, but the second you feel it in the back right butt cheek, you're good, you're golden. You don't have to go any lower. Okay, you might hold here for 2 breaths, maybe 4 breaths. I think depending on your muscular endurance and your comfort with the position will kind of determine how long you stay here and how long is beneficial for you. Okay, and try to give a little right thoracic rotation. There we go. All right, And once you're good, you put both hands on the front foot or the blocks, and you straighten both legs. And even when you're straightening both legs, you're trying to contract your abs. So I want the back part of your body lengthened. I want the front part of your body actively shortening. Okay, so you're almost like trying to do a crunch in this position. You want your six-pack muscles to be engaged and your belly button to forcefully be glued to the front of your spine. Okay, so this is not intended to be a passive position. We want active loading. Yeah, and you can take that right arm out to the side, start to peel and reach the right arm up. Great. Nice. All right, then you bring both hands down. Okay, back heel comes up, you bend into your front knee, you kind of come through the deep lunge to standing. All right, then you pause, take that, yeah. Okay, now back leg is straight. You're gonna reach your left arm forward, right arm back. Okay, and then from here, all we're going for is a little bit of again, this idea of lengthening and strengthening. So Jenna's gonna reach right about here. Okay, and she's just gonna try and get about 12 inches longer through her arm. So look at my hand. I'm just trying to reach and touch it, and then back. So it's a rocking motion, thinking about reaching from the left heel. So her left heel is pressing back, but she isn't putting it on the floor. Okay? And then you want to encourage the pelvis to rotate to the right and the thoracic cage. Okay? And then I would play with pelvic positions here. So like maybe you add a little bit of a posterior tilt or an anterior tilt, whatever feels comfortable for you. Right, and then on the next one, just reach forward, step up. Okay, double row position. Okay, 2 hip hinges. We got 1, great. And we have 2. All right, nice. Let's go down one more time. Okay, touch the ground, put your hands flat. Okay, step your feet back, go to a plank. Okay, now if this is too much for your low back, I would encourage you to just put your knees to the floor. Okay, but what we want you to avoid is, Jenna, will you sink your hips like lower than, yeah. So this is a classic plank. You see her, like there's an angle between her pelvis and her ear. I want you to try and get your pelvis, your rib cage, and your head stacked in the same way so that you feel space on the front of the hip flexors, which is going to help to lengthen the belly muscles, the lower belly muscles, which is actually going to help create a decompressive effect on the low back. Ultimately. So you just pause here, maybe you give the floor a couple knee taps just to do some knee extension. All right, and then you'll bring them all the way down, point your toes, lengthen your spine, so hips go back, hands stay where they are. Okay, if you're lucky enough to get to a place where your forehead touches the ground, you can do that. Okay, but we don't want this to be too passive. All right, so she's working to keep her hands flat and her elbows straight. All right. Then you're going to come forward, flip your toes under, go to a plank. Okay, and again, you're just trying to get used to this plank position. So you could stay here for 10 seconds, you could stay here for a minute, all right, whatever kind of feels good to you. But be sure that you're pressing your heels back with enough force that you feel the fronts of your thighs, your quad muscles, squeezing your knees into extension. All right. Now, if you have a wall behind you, you can finish this next movement with the wall. If you don't, you can just do what we're doing at home. So Jenna is going to keep her knees and elbows straight. Walk your hands back just about 6 inches. All right. Can you get your heels down here? So I want you to basically walk your hands back far enough that you can get your heels down and pick up all 10 toes. All right. Again, just trying to encourage dropping of the neck and shortening activation of the front chain of the body. All right, keep your elbows and knees straight. Walk your hands all the way to your feet. Put your butt on the wall. All right. Good. She drops everything. She can always put her hands on her calves. She can put her hands on the wall. Whatever feels good. Okay, but you're going to roll from your tailbone to the base of your skull. So take your time and just start to smoothly roll the spine up. Think about segmentation of the spine. So you scooped your tailbone under. You're in a posterior tilt, your sacrum flattens and broadens, then your low back starts to pull itself toward the wall, then the bottom of the rib cage, full rib cage, all right, and finally the shoulder blades, upper back, and then your head, and that's it. Okay, and then what I would do is actually finish where you were. That was nice. And take about 4 to 10 breaths, feeling as much of your body aligned on the wall as possible. Okay? Great. Forceful exhales, belly to spine. And that's it. Thanks for watching.